welcome to the Unstoppable Story Show with Terrence Lethbridge, where we talk to ordinary people with unstoppable stories. Now, here's your host, life accountability coach, Terrence Lethbridge. Hey, it is an unstoppable day. It's your boy, Terrence, the Unstoppable Coach Lethbridge. And if it's Tuesday night, then you know it's another episode of the Unstoppable Story Show with Terrence, where we talk to ordinary people with unstoppable stories. Hey, how you doing, everybody? Come on in, like and share. Come on in, like and share. Tell us who you are and where you are watching us from. And as always, if you're watching us live, we want you to go ahead and put that good old #1 in the comments. And if you are watching us in the replay, just put #2 up there because we want to make sure we shout you out, whether you're live or whether you are watching us in the replay. How's everybody doing? I hope you are having a great Tuesday in spite of our current events. Hopefully you are learning how to turn obstacles into opportunities and you are living your life on the next level of your greatness. So as you come on in to some quality programming on a Tuesday night, we want you to welcome yourself on in by letting us know where you are and where you are watching us from. I see we already have Lotus Rache is watching us. She is watching us from DC. Thank you, Lotus, for watching us. And we've got Angela Edding. She is watching us. She put the #1 in. I love how when people follow directions. Oh, and she says, Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday, Angela. Glad you guys are staying safe. Glad you are sheltered in, hunkered down, following all the advice that is out there now regarding what we are going through here around the world. And I'd be remiss if I didn't offer prayers for the world. And I just want to let you guys know, don't worry, because this too shall pass. We've gone through many things in life before. This is no different. Do what you're supposed to do. Be cautious, be optimistic, and recognize that if you do your part and if your neighbors do their part, then this too shall pass. And we will have created another unstoppable story to share in the coming days. So with that being said, we are going to get right into our show. We've got a great guest. We're not going to focus on what's going on right now because, believe it or not, as bad and as prominent as what we are going through right now as a nation, as a world, there are some other things that are happening in the world that we do need to remember and that we need to focus on as well. And as always, with our unstoppable stories, we have a guest that has a powerful story. And the story is going to resonate with some people. And hopefully, by the end of the show, you will have some information, you'll have some tools and some tips to help you make it through and live your best life as well. Tonight's topic that we are talking about is a very serious topic and it can be a very emotional topic. So we want to just say that at the top of the show. We do want you to go ahead and get your favorite beverage. We also want you to get your pen and pad because note takers are money makers, or when I say money makers, you also are enriching your mind, which is hopefully going to enrich your spirit and move you to action as we move forward in this year. So tonight's topic is talking about the revolving door of recidivism. Stopping the revolving door of recidivism. Our guest tonight is very aware of that revolving door. That revolving door of going into prison or jail, being convicted for whatever crime or deed that you've done, and doing your time, paying your restitution, coming out into a world that may have been quite different than the one you went into. And when you come out with the knowledge that you had when you went in, but you may not have new knowledge to help you get out and stay out. And then what do we normally do? It's human nature. It causes us to revert back to what we know. And unfortunately, if you're not helped, if you're not put in touch with resources, if you're not put in contact with other people who have made it through incarceration and have made it out on the other side, if you aren't paired with those people, then more than likely you may find yourself in that revolving door of recidivism. And so we have on the show tonight an activist, a TEDx speaker, and a former Marine Corps veteran who advocates for inmates, helping them to stop the revolving door recidivism. And she also helps them get their records expunged, helps them with clemency, and helps them go through the legal maneuvers to hopefully get this blemish off of their record and that they can move forward after serving their time and be more productive citizens of the world. She has an unstoppable story, and she's a new friend of mine. She is the one, the only, the fantastic, the phenomenally beautiful CeCe Espeut. Let's invite her to the show. Mic check, 1 2 1 2. CeCe, are you in the building? Okay, come on. Hold on. Yeah, I tell you. We call this the Unstoppable Story Show because every time we try to do something, the world wants to test us to see if we are truly unstoppable. But we gonna show them, we're gonna make this happen. And here we go. Mic check, 1 2 1 2. Can you hear me, CeCe?
Yeah, 1 2 1 2. Mic check. I am in the house and happy.
Hey, thank you so much for joining us this evening. CeCe, how you doing, girl?
You know what? I am doing fine. Life is good. And being in self-quarantine, hey, I'm getting a lot of stuff accomplished. I really am.
And I'm glad you said that because I'm all about, my hashtag is turning obstacles into opportunities. And truth be told, there's probably a lot of people who are watching the show. There are probably a lot of people in their homes right now that recognize that this is an opportunity to do some things that otherwise they wouldn't have been doing. I mean, just think, if you were at work, you couldn't be spending time with your children. If you were at work, you couldn't be doing some of that spring cleaning, since we are officially in spring. If you are at work, there's so many things that we let get undone: laundry, dishes, cooking, etc., 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 that now you have the time to focus on. So it's not that you are an obstacle, and by no means am I downplaying the severity of our situation, but here at the Unstoppable Story Show, the able is capitalized because we focus more on what you're able to do because of this obstacle than what's stopping you within this obstacle. Would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I just want to mention something. I know I was supposed to be on the show a couple weeks ago, and Marsha Sims actually did that show.
Yes.
So I had a chance to talk to Marsha today, and she gave me some tips for organizing. When I tell you, I have been through like 4 boxes of paperwork based on what she said on her method for organizing. So yes, you absolutely have some really, really amazing guests here on the show, and I'm just loving it.
You are one of those amazing guests that we are adding to the list here at the Unstoppable Story Show. So thank you for being here. But CeCe, I get bios from all my guests, and I always tell them, what you give me on paper can do no justice to you really taking a minute to say who you are and introducing yourself to the Unstoppable Stories family. So why don't you just take a second and introduce yourself and tell us who CeCe Espeut is.
Okay. Well, who am I? I always say that I'm a former U.S. Marine. I am a TEDx speaker. I'm a Toastmaster. And I believe that everything is in a name. Now, my name, the first name, when you hear it, CeCe, is like yes, yes in Spanish. My last name, Espeut, means it's possible in French. So I always tell the grandkids that by definition, we can do anything, because my name literally means yes, yes, it's possible. And so that's who I am.
Wow, I'm loving that, and I'm gonna put that up on the screen because that's a powerful statement right there. I should ask you that question before. So it loosely translated, and pronounce your last name again, because I knew I was thinking you were Creole, and I'm giving you the New Orleans spelling and phraseology. So pronounce your name correctly.
Okay, so if you look at the word dispute, my name is Espeut. So even though it's not spelt the same, it's pronounced the same. So, like I said, CC meaning yes, yes, Espeut meaning it's possible.
Wow. You know, I'm gonna
That's
go down,
both
I'm gonna
right.
go down to New Orleans and I'm just gonna be using that phrase, CeCe Espeut, CeCe Espeut, CeCe Espeut, you know. But yes, yes, it's possible. And that really speaks to what I know about you in the short time that we've gotten a chance to know each other. Every time I see you and in any type of function that we've seen each other at, you are the go-to person, because I believe your aura exudes that phrase that it's possible. If there's something that needs to be done, CeCe can get it done. So your mom and daddy did a great job of naming you.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you.
But now we got to switch gears, because you've got an unstoppable story, and unfortunately, most unstoppable stories don't have a good beginning or middle, but thank God it has a great ending. So we want to take a second for the audience to hear your unstoppable story. But before we do that, CeCe, I like to ask all my guests this one very important question. And the question simply is, what does it mean to you when you hear the word unstoppable?
All right. So for me, the word unstoppable means just going right ahead, just whatever it takes by any means necessary. And being a former U.S. Marine, and I add, I have 50 first cousins that are males. So, and I'm the third oldest. The first three were girls, and then all the others are boys. So, yeah, I had to be unstoppable growing up. Absolutely. I could not let those guys beat me.
You had to get in where you fit in,
Oh,
right?
absolutely. And I'm
I,
actually the shortest one. So, yes, I had to just knock it out the ballpark. I knew that whatever I did, I was only going to have one chance at it. So, I had to be unstoppable.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that. And that is a great way to look at the word unstoppable. And I love asking that question to all our guests, because no matter how many guests I have on the show, there's always a different interpretation of that word. And I think it's important for everyone to have their own interpretation of what it means to be unstoppable. Because if you have your own definition, it's always going to come to the forefront when you find yourself in situations that are meant to stop you. And of
Right.
course, you were in one of those situations. Now, we talked about the TEDx speaker, we talked about the Marine Corps veteran, but we also have to talk about CeCe Espeut. Yes, yes, it's possible. But she was also went through a bad time in her life where some bad decisions led to
Oh,
some
yes.
bad situations. So why
Right.
don't you take the mic and just tell us a little bit about that bad decision that you entered
All right.
into that led to a bad situation?
All right. I had a stellar Marine Corps career. I was in air traffic. I was one of the flight captains for the planes, and I just made some bad decisions. In that, when people were telling me what they were doing, instead of saying, "Hey, no, guys, what you're doing is wrong," because I have a math degree, said, "Hey, guys, if you do it this way, you'll make more money." So what ended up happening was 30 of us ended up going to prison. So as the judge says, me and 30 of my best friends ended up in prison, and I did almost a year in solitary confinement. Now, I was guilty, that there was, I'm not going to pretend that I was innocent. I was absolutely guilty. But being in solitary confinement really gave me a chance to sit down and think about what I had done and make some plans. And the day I was leaving prison, the guard, she very pleasantly said to me, "See you soon." And until that moment, I didn't know what recidivism was. I didn't know whether I hadn't made any plans to stay out of prison. And when I asked her, I was very cocky, still very cocky at the time, and my head was bobbing. And I said to her, "What, are you coming to Miami?" When she told me that 96% of all inmates violate their probation within the first year and come back, right at that point, I made up my mind that wasn't going to be me. Uh, I had a different life plan for myself. So that's where I say my story really starts, when I left prison.
Wow, that is something. We're talking to CeCe Espeut, part of the Unstoppable Story Show this evening, talking about being stuck in the revolving door of recidivism. So come on in, swipe and share. Looks like you've got some Marines watching. Sean Seagal said, "Hoorah, Marines." Yeah. So, and then he made a joke. I guess this is a joke that you would understand. Mayday, Mayday, we're losing her transmission. Okay. All right. So you guys keep it coming. Your mentor, Velton Showell, said, "CeCe." So
Yes.
everybody is chiming in. And if you have a question as we move forward in the conversation, please feel free to put it in the comment, or if she said something or we say something that really resonates with you, go ahead and put that in the comments as well. And share this, because again, it's great conversation. And if you feel like starting a watch party as well on your page, then that is fantastic. So CeCe, it sounds like that year and a half in solitary confinement was like a defining moment in your life, would you say?
Yes, it absolutely was. I needed to be able to hear myself, and not really only hear myself, but hear God. I was out there just, I don't want to say buck wild, but hey, Sean will understand. If you're a Marine, you're just out there just, hey, I needed to sit down for a minute and just be able to hear God speak to me. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And that's where most defining moments occur. That's what usually happens after you have a defining moment. I had a defining moment in my life where I had that conversation with God, and it led to unstoppable decisions that I'm continuing to make moving forward. So sometimes he puts us in situations where there's nothing but you and him
Right.
for a reason,
Right.
so that you can clearly hear who it is that you're talking to, and then that roadmap can lead you in a different direction. But I want to go back to that stat that you threw out there, that guard said to you that you just you kind of blew off. Then I want to bring it back right now. 96% of inmates return to prison.
Right.
Did you think that would be you then? And what have you thought about that statistic as you've gone on to become an advocate later on in life?
First of all, I didn't know what the statistics were, but I just want to show you how great God is. My degree is in math. The fact that the guard used numbers to talk to me was the only thing that would have gotten through to me. Had she said anything else, I don't know that it would have made such an impact. So the fact that God used her, and she spoke numbers to me, just really made an impact in my life, because until that point, I didn't know what the stats were. I didn't know anything. I was just being released, and I was just going to literally just go with God. But once I heard that statistic, I was like, oh, wait a minute. If 96% go back, what do I have to do to be in that 4% that stays out of prison? And so everything that I did from that moment on has been to stay in that 4%.
Wow, I love it. So for our audience who may not understand the terminology, what is recidivism, CeCe?
Recidivism is like a revolving door, and it's when you keep doing the same thing over and over to end up back where you were before. So in this case, we're talking about going back to prison. And you might have heard that when somebody gets arrested, they constantly violate their probation and they keep going back and back and back. And they just never get out of the system. All right. So that's what recidivism is in this
So it
instance.
sounds like recidivism is a synonym for insanity, because you said you do the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different result. So
Correct.
yeah. So, and I think a lot of people who have never been to prison before would agree that, that it would be insane to want to go there. So why do you think the numbers were so prevalent then, and they're still kind of that high now in terms of the recidivism rate?
Well, first of all, when somebody doesn't know what causes them to go back to prison, they're more likely to go back. So it's things like, for me, I decided that on a Saturday night or any night by 10 o'clock, I was going to be in the house. Because truthfully, nothing good happens after 10 o'clock at night. Okay? I'm just telling you.
At least outside of the house.
Outside of the house. And that's for something as simple as, I'm going to go ahead and say it, a booty call. If you're doing a booty call at 10 o'clock at night, it's probably not a relationship you should be in. And you stand the chance of running into somebody you don't want to see or wants to fight. And if you're arguing or fighting, the police are going to be called. Next thing, you're going to end up in prison or jail. So it's just something just as simple as that.
Right. We're hanging out with CeCe Espeut here on the Unstoppable Story Show with Terrence, and we're talking about the revolving door of recidivism, stopping that revolving door so that you don't get stuck in that revolving door. So now, CeCe, as an advocate, how have you been now, someone who has come out and has not gone back by the grace of God? How have you been advocating for others who are in that situation, whether they're now getting ready to be released or they've been released and they've been out here for a minute, but they're finding it a struggle to be out in this new environment, in this new decade? How are you working with them as an advocate?
I'm having that uncomfortable conversation that they don't want to hear. And because I've been where they've been, I get to call a spade a spade. So when somebody tells me like they want to be able to carry a gun, my question is why?
Yes.
Why? You don't need to carry a gun. I'm not saying if you're a business owner, you might not need to carry a gun, but for the average American, you do not need to carry a gun. If you have a gun and you're stopped by the police, if you're an ex-offender, they're taking you downtown before they give you a chance to explain it.
Right.
If you're an ex-offender and you have a gun, somebody approaches you or steps to you, you're more likely to pull out the gun rather than just walk away. No good reason to have a gun.
So where are you having these conversations? Where are you having these point blank calling a spade conversations?
Sometimes it's in the prisons. Sometimes it's one-on-one. Sometimes it's on the phone. It's just wherever somebody asks me the question and we start that dialogue, we're having that conversation.
I love it. So What kind of reception have you received going back into the prisons? And I know some other people in my circle of influence that have served their time, and they have come out and they're working in the recidivism advocates, as retention advocates, and they talk about the first time that they go back behind the locked bars after being released from those locked bars, and it's an awe-inspiring experience. How was it for you going back the first time in a different role from the place? And before I say that, have you gone back to the place that you were once an inmate to speak as an advocate?
No, I have not gone back to that particular facility, but I go to several different facilities a couple times each month. But every single time I go back, I have a nauseous feeling in the pit of my stomach. I cannot eat before I go. And when I leave, I feel dirty. I feel grimy. I feel sad. I feel sad to know that there's so much potential locked up behind bars. And there is a misconception that it's mostly, brown or black people behind bars. And that's not true. You have people of all different shades, colors, sizes, religions, and it's sad across the board. It's just sad.
So it's that awe, that feeling, that nausea feeling. How do you overcome it, and how have you been able to push through and go and do the great work that you're doing so far?
Just going back and knowing that people need they need the hope. They need to know that they have other options. We all make mistakes. That's just a part of life. But we make mistakes in different areas of our lives. And I'm not saying that they're not bad people in prison, or jail. I'm just saying that everybody deserves a second chance. And that is something I firmly believe.
Absolutely. Why is it so important for everybody to receive a second chance? I mean, the world that we live in, it really doesn't focus on second chances. It's like one and done. You do it, you're done. We're locking you away. We're throwing away the key. But why for you is it so important that we focus on second chances, especially in this day and age?
I think when I was doing my research, I actually wrote a book because there's so much information. I ended up writing a book for the state of Florida, and I'm in the process with another friend of yours, Barrett Matthews. We're going to be doing one for each state. But 1 out of every 3 Americans has a criminal record. So that's 1 out of every 3 Americans.
Right. So that's look on your left.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right.
If it's not you, then it's somebody really close to you, right?
Right.
Wow.
And like I said, it's either a parent, a spouse, a child, a friend, a sibling. Everybody has somebody in their family. And so just to keep families intact and just, we need second chances. We need second chances.
Absolutely. I wholeheartedly agree. You've got some people, got some friends in the comments that are reaching out. Annie or Ani Nani, this is my beautiful friend. She's talking to you. And then Velton, on that question of going back into the prisons, he says you get immediate respect when you go into the prisons. He had the pleasure to see it firsthand. So tell us about some of the experiences. The first couple of times you had to go back into prison. You talked about the nauseous. How did you get over it and go and fulfill your mission now as an advocate?
All right. So I am 5 feet tall. All right. I am short. But
shout out to the short people.
Right. So when I go into a prison, and then I'm only 5 feet tall, and I'm talking to say, a group of male prisoners. And there's this one funny story. I was in a correctional facility down in Miami, and they gave me a thing that looks like this. And they told me to clip it onto my belt. I walked into this room, about 300 inmates, and the guard walks out and leaves me with these inmates. And the guard said to me, "If you need us, just pull it off your belt and we'll come running." And now the door's on the other side from where I'm at.
Right.
And I thought to myself, there is no way that those guards can reach me before the inmates. And honestly, I just had to dig deep. I told those guys, hey, I'm a former U.S. Marine. I did a year in solitary confinement. So try me if you want to.
Okay.
In my mind, I was going to have to fight my way out.
Wow. So all that Marine training just came right back, huh?
Right. But now, of course, these guys were sweethearts. They wanted to hear what I was saying. And I told them about the process to get a pardon or clemency. I answered their questions, and I just treated them with respect. And that's what they're really looking for. They want to know that there's life after prison. And so that's what I gave them. You know, I told them what women really want, you know. And so at that point, I had 300 men just looking at me going like, what do women really want? And the truth of the matter is that every mother, every partner, they want to know that you're at home safe with them each night. They don't care that you're out there slinging dope or, you know, you're doing whatever you're doing, making money. They really want you to be home and safe with them. And that's the best way that men can protect their families and their loved ones, is to be there. So being in prison because you think you have to prove yourself by doing whatever, it's not that. That's not the answer. And I had these 300 men just looking at me, just like, wow, it's as simple as that. And yeah, it's as simple as that. We want you to be home at night, safe and sound with us.
Wow, that's a powerful message, and it's so simple, and I love how you were able to go in and you were able to give them some straight talk, and they probably got more than what they bargained for, because I'm sure they were just happy to see a beautiful woman in their midst, but then a beautiful woman who was also giving them straight talk, giving them great advice and good information and speaking from the heart. That made a difference, and you're giving them some vital information that they can use once they get out, especially from the learning how to get pardoned and to have clemency. That's something that you know firsthand, correct?
Correct.
So how did it feel when you were in 2012, you received your clemency from the governor of the state of Florida? How did that feel going through the process, and how did it feel when it finally happened for you? Because it doesn't happen for everybody, right?
No, it does not happen for everybody, and it's a long process. In fact, I had submitted my paperwork, I want to say maybe in 2008, 2009, and I had forgotten about it. And funny enough, I had moved away from that address that was on the paperwork and moved back, and I was living in the house beside the address that was on the paperwork. And so when I got the call and the paperwork came in the mail, I was just like, I could not believe that it happened. I mean, literally, I moved into the house next door from where I had submitted the application. And initially, I was denied, and a friend said to me, they said, CeCe, quite honestly, you do not look good on paper. You know, when somebody runs your police record, you look a little jacked up. But in person, you present really well. They
Yeah.
told me to make sure that I went to Tallahassee and I got to, go for my second hearing. Once I got it, and the governor said, yes, we're going to grant you that pardon. I'll never forget, the lady handed me the paperwork. I took that paperwork and walked out of that courtroom, got in my car, and drove for almost 3 hours before I stopped because I wasn't sure that they hadn't made a mistake. I didn't want them to, say, hey, ma'am,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
that paperwork back. I did not stop because I was just that nervous. And
Wow.
yeah.
You didn't want them to take it back and say this was a mistake, right? I got you. I got you. I love it. I love it. We're hanging out with CeCe Espeut here on the Unstoppable Stories show with Terrence Leftridge. We are loving it. Velton is saying that when you were talking about your prison story, she's like, she's modest. She is a firecracker. And I know that to be true, Velton, just from the short time that I've been spending with her. So definitely. And we want to bring it home now as we come on the second half of the show, talking about you made it out and you didn't go back. But there are many, many people who get stuck in that revolving door of recidivism, even after you talk to them before they get out, and even after you deal with them or talk to them after they've been out, correct?
Correct.
So what would you say is the number one thing that keeps some people stuck in that revolving door?
First, I think you have to be aware that there's a problem or what's going on in your life. You have to be aware of what you want. Now, if going to prison is your thing, then hey, I'm not judging you. I'm not judging you. We're not here to judge. But if you want a different kind of life, you have to be aware of that. You have to know what you want. And then you have to come up with a plan. And that plan may be something as simple as changing your friends or going back to school or getting a job, And then you actually have to take action and do those things. And when there are things that within your heart are going to lead you back to prison, you have to say no. You have to say no and stick to your plan.
I love it. So in your own life, when you got out, you had that statistic as the last thing that you heard from the prison guard on your way out. And you decided at that moment that that was not going to be you. So you had an awareness right then. So take us through the next couple of years. How did you activate your own plan to not go back?
Let me see, I got a job.
Okay.
And it's funny because I was a server at a local breakfast joint. And I remember them saying that I was like the worst server they ever had. But hey, I went to college. I have a degree in math. So maybe being a server wasn't the right job choice for me. So once I started working, and then I went back to school for photography and video, and started my own company because I was really uncomfortable having to explain my club fed vacation.
Okay.
So this way, excuse me, not that I didn't tell people that I was working for that I had a felony conviction, but it was more along the lines of, this is the project you need done, but just in case it comes up, I have a felony conviction. The choice is yours whether you want me to be your photographer or not.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's how I really approach that.
Did you think it was beneath you when you got that job as a server, or were you so aware and so convinced that you didn't want to go back that it made it easier for you to apply for a job that you didn't go to school for?
No, no, it was absolutely not beneath me to work as a server. My issue was I don't eat red meat. There were a lot of steaks ordered. So here I am. Now, remember, I'm coming out of solitary confinement.
Right.
So I haven't talked to more than one person in the last year, right? I get a job as a server, a busy Saturday and Sunday mornings, and I'm carrying plates of steak and eggs to people.
And being talked to all the time.
Right. So I had to be aware in that situation that it was not a win-win for me.
Okay.
You know, I was overwhelmed with all the noise, with the smells, with the food, with people shouting. It was just not a good situation for me. And they knew it. And by mutual agreement, we decided to part ways.
Okay.
So, yeah,
But
I got that job up.
I congratulate you for taking the step of even doing it, because you know the statistics better than I do, but a large reason for recidivism is when people get out, they don't look for anything because they're looking for that thing that oh, I was born to do this, or some people might think the job you took was beneath them because of their history before they were incarcerated, and then they don't find anything, and then it becomes that need to go back to what they know that
Correct.
got locked up in the first place. So that awareness and being able to, I guess, humble yourself was actually a strength for you, would you say?
Yeah, I guess so. I guess so. But you know, funny enough, there was another server there who was getting married, and she came to me one day and she said, "CeCe, I have $500. Would you please be my wedding photographer?" At the time, I was making $2.14 an hour.
Yeah.
I was like, I could do one wedding a week.
Okay.
I'd be okay. You know. So,
But look at it this way. You had to be in that situation to get that
mhm,
introduction that led to that opportunity. And I
correct.
think that's important for anyone who's watching us live or watching the replay of this show, what she just said. Because of her awareness, and because she humbled herself, she put her in a situation which led to an introduction, which led to an opportunity that would not have happened if not for her awareness to begin with. And one way to stop the revolving door recidivism is to take that same game plan, to maybe put yourself in different situations, uncomfortable situations, but situations that will align you to moving in a different direction, as opposed to taking you back to where you were that got you into incarceration and to a recidivism experience to begin.
Right.
Yes.
I like that recidivism experience. Oh
Yes.
yeah, I think I'm going to be using that.
You can take it. Just give me credit for it 3 times.
Okay, all right. But
So go ahead.
I just want to say one thing. You know, talking about putting yourself where you need to be so you can have or meet different people. I remember there was uh, some event up in, I'm going to say West Palm, but I went up there to do some pictures, and that's where I met Belton Showell, and he offered me a coaching session. And so I'm talking to Belton, and he's saying, "CeCe, you've got something here. You've got something." And from there, he encouraged me to join Toastmasters. And from joining Toastmasters, I ended up doing a TEDx talk. But now seeing how that progressed, it would have never happened had I not had someone like Velton in my life to say, "Hey, CeCe, you know, yeah, you talk and you think you're good," because I was talking to my peers in prison. But what Velton showed me was that I needed to be able to talk to the policymakers, the people who make decisions. See, I was doing prison talk, you know, talking to my peers. but that was not what I needed to say to the decision makers. So for that, I'm eternally grateful for the direction that Felton gave me.
Absolutely. And I'm grateful that you made that connection, another divine connection, but that divine connection again. And as we're talking about revolving doors, we're talking about also how you can put yourself in a different circle, circles that lead
Mhm.
to better things as opposed to that circle that within that revolving door that leads you back to where you were. Because you were awareness, because you activated a plan to give back to those that you were once a part of that community, you put yourself in situations where the door opened up to other connections. And then you got the realization that, hey, I'm not only speaking to the people who are going to be the ones that are getting out, I'm speaking to the policymakers that make these policies that in some
Correct.
cases make it harder for people to stay out. So
Correct.
it's all because you followed your own steps. You were aware, you activated your plan, and you took action, and then the universe did the rest for you. And it's a great story, and you are good, definitely
Thank
good.
you.
And you continue to evolve. Velton is saying in the comments room, tell him about the book. Woohoo! What tell us about the book?
All right. So I started writing. I have several books in the works, and I wrote a book called "I'm Home Now What," and it's not actually published yet because what happened was when I started talking about the book, I realized that people didn't know the different meanings of words, and that was one of the reasons why they weren't getting their pardons granted. They would go to, I don't know, maybe the police station or the district attorney's office and say, can I get a pardon? Well, the answer is always going to be no, because the district attorney's office does not grant pardons. They do expungements. And so I ended up putting that book on the shelf, and I wrote another book called The Florida Clemency Guide, which explains the different terms. What does expunge mean? What does sealed mean? What does pardon mean? And for each state, the books, the meanings are different. And so the clemency process in Florida is not the same as it may be in Georgia or in Pennsylvania. Each state is different, which is something I might add needs to be changed. It needs to be one thing for the whole entire United States.
And that's why it's so important that we move to help you get those books off the shelf and into the hands of the policymakers and decision makers that need to hear that and understand that from not only a person who advocates, but from someone who was a part of the system. So, Velton, we're gonna have to light a new firecracker under this woman and take
Oh,
take
thank
this
you.
into a new direction, because that is definitely information that is needed. As I said earlier in the show, I know people who are former inmates in other states, and they are in different levels of that process, whether it's the expungement or the clemency. I know someone who just received clemency in Georgia, and he
Wow.
got to vote for the first time since being released, and he posted it all over Facebook. So I know what it can do to have that situation happen in your life, and to put it in a situation where you, CeCe, yes, it's possible to make this a universal code of ethics and laws
Mhm.
across the country. I say, CeCe, yes, it's possible.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you.
So as we segue, as we come to the end of the show, now that we talked about the book, let's talk about what else is going on, or what else can we expect to see from CeCe Espeut in the next couple of months, in the coming future. And then how can they get in contact with you to get all this vast information that you have, so that we can help future inmates get unstuck from this revolving door of
Hmm.
recidivism?
So, what's next? Honestly,
Other than the books.
Say that again?
Other than the books, because those are coming.
Those are coming. Maybe a couple more TEDx talks. Maybe working in some legislature with, you know, making everything the same. So really and truly, that's about it. I don't really know. I'm kind of waiting on an answer from the universe about what's next. So,
Okay. Are you speaking in front of any of your advocacy groups coming up anytime soon?
I am, but of course, everything is put on hold. But what I'm really doing right now is, well, before this quarantine happened, I'm going into corporations, and we're talking about what they need to do to hire ex-offenders.
Yes.
Because, usually there's a reason why somebody committed a crime, whether it was ignorance, whether it was to feed their family. But what ex-offenders need, the thing they need the most, are jobs. And if someone will give them an opportunity to work, ex-offenders make some of the best employees because they're loyal to the people who gave them a second chance. Once they have a livable income, health insurance, they're pretty loyal, and they will, they show up to work on time every day, and they go above and beyond. So definitely working a lot with corporations to hire ex-offenders. Yes.
Well, I think that is fantastic. I think that is a very noble endeavor that you are embarking on. And so we congratulate you for that. We congratulate you for having the audacity to turn your defining moment into an unstoppable decision for yourself and for others that have come after you. I know there's going to be some corporations, there's going to be some nonprofits, there's going to be some other people that are going to see this interview, and they're going to want to connect with you to bring you in to speak or to hear your thoughts on how we can get these laws amended and changed. And, Velton is saying that he's got the matches, so we definitely are going to light that fire up under you to make that happen. But in the meantime, if someone wants to have a deeper conversation with CeCe, how can they get in contact with you?
They can find me on Facebook, and that's probably the best way to connect with me is via Facebook or Instagram. On Instagram, I'm CeCe, CeCe, TEDx, TEDx. And on Facebook, it's my name. On LinkedIn, it's my name, CeCe Espeut. And if you reach out to me, I'll definitely answer.
That is fabulous. So we're putting it up on the screen. On IG is CeCe TEDx, and then on Instagram and LinkedIn, it's just her name, CeCe, and we'll put the spelling of her last name back up there, as well as the what it means in Creole, or what's going to be when I go back down to New Orleans. They're going to kick me out of New Orleans. CeCe Espeut, CeCe Espeut. What?
Right.
Well, CeCe, it has been a pleasure. As I said when I first met you, you are a breath of fresh air, and I love what you're doing and how you're going about doing it. Continue to be a blessing to our former inmates, because we're going to take that tag off of them. They did their time, and now they just want to come back and be productive citizens. And what you're doing to help them move forward so that they don't get stuck in that revolving door of recidivism is honorable. But what else would we expect from a Marine Corps veteran, right?
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for being on the show. That is CeCe Espeut. She's a Marine Corps veteran, TEDx speaker, and advocates for the inmates to stop them from getting stuck in the revolving door of recidivism. Thanks so much, CeCe. All right, that was CeCe Espeut. So thank you guys for watching us here on the Unstoppable Story Show with Terrence Leftridge. We appreciate you guys for being here with us. We always look forward to having you guys here on the show every Tuesday night. Thank you guys. Go ahead and continue to share it out with a friend and let them know about the Unstoppable Story Show, where we talk to ordinary people with unstoppable stories. And hey, by chance, you may want to be a guest on the show. So if you want to be a guest on the show, then just reach out to us. You can show our guests some love, and then you will be that guest that will get some love when you come on the show. So if you want to be a guest on the show, reach out to us. Email us at info@unstoppablecoaching.com. And then we'll get back to you after we hear about your unstoppable story. And who knows, you may be the next guest on the Unstoppable Story Show, where we talk to ordinary people with unstoppable stories. And until next time, wherever you are in the world today, you know what I say. Don't just make it a great day. Go out and help stop the revolving door of recidivism and make it an unstoppable day. Take care.